LR, the Liberal Redneck here, coming to you from a country where President Joe Biden's predecessor is single-handedly destroying the Republican Party with his cult of idiots, otherwise known as MAGA. The predecessor himself is swamped in a mountain of criminal charges that threatens his financial empire. He is running for president again in the misguided hope that if he can win, it will keep him out of prison and save his house of cards. For most of the last 48 hours, a significant portion of fair-minded America, that is, those who don't have MAGA hats glued to their heads, has been enjoying a fair amount of schadenfreude at the news he can't find anyone willing to lend him almost $500 million in order to appeal a judgment that he committed civil fraud in New York State. The presumptive GOP nominee for president is desperate for $464 million and counting, which he cannot personally access. That fact alone makes him a massive national security risk. Any foreign adversary seeking to buy a president knows the price. So for the upteenth time since he came down the escalator, we find ourselves asking questions that we shouldn't have to ask about our leaders or prospective leaders. With New York Attorney General Letitia James fully intending to make good on her threat to seize his assets if he doesn't pay up, we have to wonder how desperate he is. He has already hinted he'll have to sell some of his assets at fire sale prices. The chances such transactions will get him nearly enough to get James off his back are somewhere between slim and none. So how far is he willing to go? And what price is he willing to pay to avoid financial calamity? I repeat, this is a question that we simply should not have to ask about a self-proclaimed billionaire candidate for president. His personal problems has manifested in his performance at the polls. While the former president won handily in Florida, Ohio, Arizona, Kansas, and Illinois, the number of people who turned out to vote against him was unusually high, especially given that all of his rivals have quit the race. He won about 81% of the vote in Florida, 79% in Ohio, 81% in Illinois, 78% in Arizona, and 76% in Kansas, based on results early from the Associated Press. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who dropped out 2 weeks ago, won 14 to 20% of the vote over those states. In Florida's closed Republican primary, 200,000 Republicans have voted against him. Biden, by contrast, consistently receives over 90% of the vote, no matter which ballot he's on. The American people are tired of the grifting, indecency, and criminality. The MAGA cultists comprise the majority of the Republican base, but are a significant minority when compared to registered Democrats. I fear that many of the MAGA cultists may not even have the mental capacity to fill out a voter registration form. All in all, this should result in a resounding Democratic victory in November. Thanks for listening, and remember, always vote blue.